Alright, so in this video we did a lot of wiring on the government cheese truck. We had a gentleman who was supposed to rewire it, but he did a terrible job. He's informed us that he wired street rods. We did some work for him and it was supposed to be a trade. I wasn't happy where it was going, so the truck sat for 2 years waiting for him to finish it, and it never happened. So, blessing in disguise, I'm wiring it myself. And in this video, you'll see a lot of the wiring. I got a lot more to go, but it's getting close. Real close. So, remember, like and subscribe, Side Money Garage. Thanks for all the support. Alright everybody, welcome back. We're back on the truck. It's Tuesday, first full week of January work. Didn't come here yesterday. The wife was kinda in a mood due to the snow, so had things to do at home. But we're back on the truck. We got the complete ignition system done as far as the starting system, not the distributor. And now we're mounting the fuse box. I gotta get this thing wired. So we're up under here. We're gonna mount the fuse box up there and figure that out and start getting some things done on this thing. I'm tired of looking at it. So I'm gonna get the screws, mount the fuse box, and start running some wires. Try to figure this mess out. God, it is a mess. But let's get started on this and get something done. Alright, so we have our fuse box mounted. You can't really see it very good, but it's up under there. Right in that area, it's bolted to the firewall. So now we're gonna get our book out and we're gonna go one circuit at a time and complete it. We got 14 circuits, so we'll see what happens until we get them all done. That's the best thing I can figure out to do with what I've got and what I've been left with from somebody else's work. Okay, so this is the left side of the fuse box. We're gonna start with that side just because it's the side I drew first. We got all these figured out. We're gonna hook all those up right now. So that'll be 1, 2, 3 wires. As soon as we get those 3 wires hooked up, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wires to figure out where they all go and what they do. So we're gonna get started with these. I already know where they're going. These are gonna be the positives for this side. They're gonna tie into that junction block that we put in there. And that'll complete the positive for that side. And then we have to do all of these. So on the notebook over here, we're gonna put wires 15, 21, 'Alright, and we're going to cross them out as we go. So we're going to go start with the brown wire, and then we're going to do the red and white wire. And that'll take care of half our wires, but that's just the positive side. Okay, there's our 4 positives all tied in up there. We got to trim all this insulation stuff back. I don't know if you can really see that very well. So we're going to put a little light on the subject. There they are, tied in. Now we're going to move on to the next set of wires. So let's go see where we are. So, as of right now, hooked up, we have 23 to 28. 22 to 28. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's number these ones. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we started tracing our wires. The headlights were running. These LED ugly things. But they're super bright. And that I like about them. I mean, they're ugly as shit, but they are bright. And when you're old, you worry about seeing, not so much looks. It's a headlight, for crying out loud. So we're tracing all our wires out to that plug. They come out here and they go to this plug, which is not the correct headlight plug for that. But we're going to try to make do here and see what we can come up with. If we can switch the plug around and make it work. We're going to try to pop those out and slide them into the other plug that we have. If I can, perfect. If I can't, well then I'm going to have to cut these blue plugs off of here and try to figure out how to make an adapter. But at first I'm going to try to slide them out of there. I think they'll come out. So let's see what we can do. Alright, it's Thursday. It's Falcon Day. We're going to get to work on the Falcon. We got a lot of changes we want to do to that turkey. So we're going to start with that. First thing we're going to do is start working on this Ford 9-inch. Got them both dug out. And we are going to use one in the 55 and one in the Falcon. This is the narrower one out of a Mustang, I believe. It's going in the Falcon. Bigger, better, stronger things, so it will go in the Falcon. That one will go in the 55 Fairlane. And getting it ready to install. Then we're going to turn everything so we can work on the Falcon's rear end. We got to see what kind of U-joint we have. We want to get that rear end out, get the cowl tracks in, and start making changes and see what we can come up with. Alright, we got the inside of the rear end sort of clean, scraped off the gasket, scraped off all the loose grease. It's still got gunk in it, but we got to grind on this. Get all the paint and everything off of here on both sides and measure it so we can get the right shock mounts like that rear end has for this rear end. So we're going to do all of that now. We're going to grind on there, get all that dolled up before we clean out the inside, get our measurements and see what we need to get. I'm assuming they're going to go somewhere in here on this thicker part. It's thinner here, thicker here. So I'm hoping they go in here somewhere. But I'm going to get the grinder and a flap disc and start cleaning that up. Then we'll clean out the inside. Clean up those threads on those bolts. Probably have to get some new T-bolts. Maybe those ones. Maybe the 8-inch ones. We're going to try to use everything we can off that 8-inch. The brakes, the axles. They're Mosier 28 spline Mosier axles. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to clean this up and get it ready to go. Alright, we got our housing cleaned up. Got it ground so we can weld on it. Got all the slime out of the inside. I guess it still has a little bit, but we'll have to clean it a million more times once we get it in the car. So now we're going to pull the wheels, get it on jacks, and start loosening up this rear end and getting it out of here. See how we're going to do that and what we're going to do. We're going to jack it up, get the wheels off, undo the U-joint, We got to measure the front U-joint. Undo the brake line. And get that thing out of here. Alright, here's the underside of the Falcon. Before we start giving her shit. Before we start ripping her apart. It's a 4 to 8 inch, 355 True Track posi. With ladder bars. Factory leaf springs. And Summit adjustable shocks. Well, we're ripping all that out. We're going with split monoleaf, cow tracks, Viking adjustable shocks mounted on the back of the rear end, and a Ford 9-inch with a 411. So all that's coming out. We got it on jack stands. We're about to pull the wheels and see what we can do with this thing. We're going to get the wheels pulled off, get the brake drums off, pull the axles out, undo the brake line, the shocks. Them U-bolts may work. We're going to use the axles, we hope. That's what we're going to find out today. If we got to use those axles over there, or if we can use these Mosier axles. Hopefully these Mosier axles will fit. Then we're going to pop the springs off. And do the old switcheroni. Alright, we got the wheel off, we got the drum off, we got the axle retaining plate off. Now we're going to get the slide hammer, we're going to pull the axle out and see what's going on in there and see if we can get it to fit that axle. Hopefully they're the right length. Everything says they are. We'll see. Okay, we hit our first snag of this debacle. This is our driver's side axle for our 8-inch. This is our driver's side axle for our 9-inch. There's quite a bit of difference there. Roughly 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do. If we're going to just leave the 8-inch and put the cow tracks on them and hope for the best, or if we're actually gonna do this. I don't want to have to buy axles and everything. We're definitely pulling the 8-inch out. I got to get it out and get all that ladder bar shit off of it, even if I do put the cow tracks on it. Or I leave the ladder bars and just redo the shocks. But I really want to put the cow tracks on it, I think. And the coilovers and all that. So I think I'm going to pull that 8-inch and compare it to this 9-inch and see exactly what my differences are. Alright, so where we left off with the little Falcon yesterday, it's staying an 8-inch. I talked to Curry Enterprises, and we're going to do some things to it and make it bulletproof. He tells me if I break it, I got one bad mamma jamma, so on to the truck. I only work on the Falcon on Thursdays and Sundays. And I don't know why. I guess I call it boredom. My wife calls it my ADA or some friggin' thing. So, we got this headlight wired up. And now we're working on this one. I got one more pin to get out. Then I got to wire up this side and move on to other parts of the headlight switch. So it's happening. But for now, I'm gonna get the heat on. It's cold as hell in here. All right, let's get this heat on and start wiring. All right, here's my little drawing I made of the, I guess you would call it the light circuit and where the wires go. So we're working on this light switch here. So far we traced the high and low beam wires out to the headlights and the grounds. All those are done. So now we're gonna move on to the dimmer switch and make sure they go out. Well, they go out to one plug out. We got all that done. So now we got to draw another plug and where they go. So right now we are going to draw the inside plug, I guess. Through the firewall, I believe it's the top plug where they both go, and where they come back in to the dimmer switch. So let's go see what we got here. Thought I had a, well, they might be in the blue bag, a pen and a highlighter. If not, I'll get one. Okay. So inside of here we have all of that disaster. Here is the plug we are talking about. These two, the top and bottom ones, are our headlights. And that actually looks pretty good compared to some of the other shady work I've seen. So now we're going to pull this through and see what the inside looks like. And then we're going to draw a picture of this with that little bump there, so we know where those all go. And this up in here is the inside. We're going to pull it through and take a look at the back side and make sure everything looks good in there, because some of this stuff doesn't look so good. I don't want nothing shorting out or anything. And then check the dimmer switch. I got a new dimmer switch because that other one was busted. And we'll get that installed, and then we'll move on to the next part of the headlight switch. One part at a time, I guess. And we'll see where it is. All right. So let's get a pen and do a drawing. All right. So next we're gonna move on, and we're gonna go to the dash lights, which is number 7. So we're gonna go check and see if that goes up to the dashboard. We got all the high beam, low beam, and dimmer switch. Of course, the Chinese dimmer switch failed, sitting in the truck. It came apart, so we have to get another one of those. So now we are going to look at number 7, which is this black wire. I believe we'll go to the dash lights up here. It'll go to the back of here from the back of there. So we're going to get on that and see what happens with the dash lights. It's almost time to install the headlight switch. We're getting somewhere. I'm not 100% sure which one of these plugs are the dash lights, but we're about to find out, I guess. So this truck needs to get done. So here we go. Alright, let's test out some of these plugs. Alright, so this is plug number 1. Years ago, I started doing this to my dash lights, I guess you would say. To my gauge cluster so I could unplug it. And it just stuck with me. So, over here, on plug number 1, the white wire is the dash lights, the yellow wire is the high beam indicator. And I traced them out from my switch plug, so everything goes where it's supposed to go. So the guy didn't undo that part of it. So now, I'm going to go draw my map for that. And move on to the next dash light. So let's go see what the next one is real quick. And then we'll draw our dash. We got to get that parts washer out of here. Alright, so dash lights. Number 7. Number 7 dash lights. Alright, somewhere else in here. Here we go. So we're going to take this paper here. We got to keep track of what we're doing here. That's a plug. 9, 10. So this was no good. So we got number 1 done. We got number 2 done. We got number 3 done. We got number 5 done. And number 6 done. And number 7 done. So next is number 8. That's the dome light. We're going to check that out now and see how it goes. I think I have some dome lights up under the dash. Let's go take a look. I hate wiring. I did this 5 or 6 years ago. Paid a guy and look at the hack job. So I thought, yes, I see a light mounted right here. I don't know if there's any more mounted under there. We'll have to look and see. But I see one, so now we're going to see if the dome light's wired up and make sure it's correct. Alright, so we do have 2 dome lights. There's one over there and one right there. They're wired in. There's our ground block. So now the dome light circuit is done. So now we get to go see what the next circuit is on the headlight switch. It's just about time to put the headlight switch in the truck. We might have it done. Okay, let's see. We're looking at our chart. Number 8 is the dome light. We have 2 left. Park lights and tail lights. So right now we're going to start with the park lights. And they're number 4. So now we get to see which one is the park light number 4. Number 4. Number 4 is right there. So now we're going to go up under the truck and see if we can trace the park lights. And hopefully they'll go smooth. Of course, we lost everything we had our hands on. Alright, let's go trace some park lights. Alright. So here's our headlight switch. And I believe this one here, it does say front park lights right there. I don't know. Alright, so what does this one say? That one says front park light. What does that one say? Rear. Alright. So we're going to trace the front park light. Alright, we are still wiring. Still playing with wires. We got the headlight switch wired in though. Key switch is wired in. We're working on all our plugs. Plug number 1 for the dash clusters figured out. And everywhere where it goes, except for the brown wire, that's out to the gas tank. We're doing that now. Trying to figure out, make sure that's wired correctly. And we're moving right along. On our fuse box, we have all the left side. These are all done. Those wires are ran. Except for the open ones, there's a lot of open ones. On the right side, we're doing the gray one. That wire's ran. And now we are running everything for, what do you want to call it? The factory gauge wires. The only factory gauge I'm running is the gas gauge. So right now I'm hooking up the gas gauge wires. Move this thing away a little. My voice gets a little loud, I guess, when I'm too close to it. So right now I'm hooking up the gas gauge wires through the truck to the outside, to the back. We're going to go through and see where that is and where that goes next. Alright, so this is where we get into a headache. Fuse 9 is brake light switch. On the factory harness to the truck, the brake light switch wire came from the headlight switch, which it can still come from here. But now I got to check the turn signal switch inside the factory steering column that I don't have. This has a aftermarket, whoa, I think it's an I Did It. I don't remember the brand of the column. Either this one's an I Did It or the panel truck had an I Did It and one has a CPA, or I got rid of the CPA. I don't know. But I gotta see if the brake light switch wire has to go through the turn signal switch. So now I have to start looking at all that for brake lights. And I have all kinds of things in here. See, there's a CPP column. And right here is a plug. And see, white brake light. Well, that doesn't tell me if it just... Is that power? What is it? So I have this book, may tell me what it is. So we got to look back through here. P, white. GM steering column. White, stoplight. Note, GM turn signal instructions. First determine which plastic block you have. Ignition hookup. So I have a white. I got the headlights. Well, this is going to take me a few minutes to figure this stupid thing out. So I might as well turn you off until I do. Alright, so after doing some reading of all of this disastrous wiring stuff here, and deciphering some wires, the white wire is the brake light input P. So it'll go from the brake switch over to P. The other one on the brake switch goes down to fuse number 9, which is the brake light switch. So we're going to test those wires and run them now so we can have that hooked up. That's where we are now. Alright, GoPro, so we read through everything. We now have the gray one hooked up, the black one, black and green for the brake switch. The brake switch comes out of there, goes into this plug, to the white wire, up to the column. We got all that hooked up. So we only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more wires to hook up. And we know the lighter's hooked up correctly already. We're not sure about the red one to the coil. That blue one, we know what that one's going to be. So it's coming. We're getting it. Alright, it's Sunday. So we got the gray gauge. We got the black and green for the brake switch. Now we're down to the horn. So we're running all the horn wires. They're pretty simple, I guess. That little relay. One comes from the fuse box, goes into the relay. Here. Power will come out of the relay, out this wire to the horn. Comes in here, hit the button, goes through here, makes the coil, sends the power out. So far we got this one ran, and that one ran from the factory harness. We're doing the one out. That's what we're working on now. Woo! There's our underground heater. We gotta get that thing plugged in. I'm gonna be running the hot wires. It'll be cold under there. We mounted one horn right here. We're gonna mount the other horn over here. And I just take this little horn I got over here. These are the horns I bought years ago for it. And I just take that off, give it a little bend, and presto. Put one of them zip screw cert things in it. and the horn is mounted. So we're gonna mount this other horn, and then we're gonna run some more horn wires. All right, so we got our horns ran, bolted, tested. Me and old Kyle tested them out, made sure everything was good. They'll come up and go into that plug. So now I got to do some drawings for that. Kyle's working on getting the positive cable ran over here to go up to the starter solenoid. And then he's going to do the negative cable, and I'm going to keep wiring things on the inside. We have back here, so we got all the horn, all the horn, all the horn. We got to do the cigarette lighter and the coil. Those will be the next two. Alright, we're in here. We're running all these wires for this GM turn signal switch to this guy. We got some of them ran out there. Left, right, rears. We got the positive battery cable ran up to this temporary battery cutoff switch. And that is just so that while I'm testing things, I can disconnect the battery because it's in the trunk. Once I get everything hooked up how I want it, that'll be out of here. But for now, I can test everything, I can disconnect everything with ease. We got the distributor positive hooked up to the coil. We got all the horns hooked up. We have the cigarette lighter, but nobody smokes. Well, I never did smoke, but now they don't call them cigarette lighters. It's the charging port. But in the old days, it was a cigarette lighter. I can't believe I lived long enough to say in the old days and remember and know what I'm talking about. So now we're hooking all this up. Alright, we're moving on to the next wire. So to end this video, we got a lot of wiring done. Positive, negative cables ran. We got the turn signal switch hooked up. We have all the brake light switches hooked up, all the wires going just to the back. Distributors hooked up. We got to do the tack. Line lock. Those are the last of the wires going out under the hood. Then we can wrap all that up, make it look nice. We got the horn done. A lot of wires. We got a lot of wires left to do, but most of them are inside. It's coming. Very slow, but it's coming. We got all the hillbilly rigged up bullshit fixed that this other guy did. It's coming along pretty good. Remember, like and subscribe. Side Money Garage.